take my mouse cursor off the stop button so I don't accidentally stop the recording in the middle of the thing. That's a thing I should do. I've never done it, but I'm really paranoid about doing it.
I mean, fair enough. It's an easy enough fix, so.
Yeah. Um yeah, I mean it wouldn't be the worst thing. The scaredy part is like not noticing it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, that's completely fair.
Well, welcome listeners to Kyle and Cody's Cult Cinema Cast. We're doing a movie review after a lot of I suppose I did the zombie reviews, but yeah, no, just back to a regular movie review. Just to change the pace. Putting
Is this
yeah.
really what we would call a regular movie review?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say it's a feature length film. It's only like an hour 65 minutes, something like that. What was it?
Yeah, but like a regular movie review, in my opinion, would be something without a theme. And if we're looking for themes, this one particularly has a very particular theme.
Oh, so you're speaking about the fact that I chose to do the Evil Snow movie just as a blizzard hit Saskatchewan. Is the point you're getting at?
Is there a blizzard hitting Saskatchewan?
Isn't it like worse where you are? Like snowfall warning, whatever.
Like
Of course, blizzards may be a bit harsh.
there's snow on the yeah, like there's definitely snow on the ground right now here, but like not like maybe 2 to 3 centimeters. Yeah, the place that I'm living apparently has really weird weather because of the mountains. Like we don't get as much snowfall in the area as we probably should. Well, like other areas or surrounding areas gets a little bit more than we normally do. So at
Oh, are you
least
not
from
in
what I
Weymouth right
heard,
now?
it's been a while since I've. No, I'm in Maple Creek.
Oh, right. Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think I mentioned it, but
I think you mentioned it. I didn't realize you were still there. I thought you were just checking. Had not.
yeah, no.
Yeah. No, I thought you were. Yeah. Okay, so that. So yeah, I got. So that makes a lot more sense. More sense on my end. On my end, it's our first big end of snowfall. Yeah, and like right as I finished watching this movie last night, it starts snowing.
Does speak to the horrors of like living in Canada.
Yeah.
And I guess also in Minnesota where this was shot, or like where it's said to
Shot.
um,
Yeah.
have
Set
originated.
in and filmed in. So, well,
Like
yeah.
I found the IMDb page of the movie. I don't think I found a Wikipedia page on it. So
Yeah, no, there's no
like
Wikipedia, I don't
the
think.
normal place that I would source all my information on movies is kind
Yeah.
of down. So I don't have as much like of a background for this movie as I
Yeah.
would have liked. So
I'm going to source a lot of this myself because I've followed the director for a long time, as I'll put it.
oh, so it's actually more recent than I thought.
Yeah, it's only like 2 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's shot like it's in the 1983s, like
Yeah, that's
80s, so I just assumed it was older.
we are reviewing the movie Winter of 83, which is an analog horror film. I think perhaps originally released in like a series of shorts and then compiled into a single
Mhm.
feature length film. Um, directed by Louis Lovhaug. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. The internet may better know him as Linkara of Atop the Fourth Wall, who does a bunch of comic book reviews and is kind of like fairly popular in the sphere. He's not the most popular, but he's got like a good following. He was one of the bigger people out of Channel Awesome back when that was a thing. He was also one of the guys to leave there. Probably one of the more prominent guys to leave.
Can you just describe that for me?
Okay, so Channel Awesome was an
W
amalgamation of like
No, 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 I
uh
don't care about
uh,
yeah, I don't care about the channel itself. I'm talking about the analog horror. What would you describe as
okay,
analog
okay,
horror?
okay. Yeah. So analog horror is defined as like very like it's meant to mimic like analog media such as like a VHS or like cable television. Yeah, it's meant to be like sort of use yeah, like give it a more of a retro feel. It's a genre that's kind of popped up and it started popping up in the 2010s. Maybe a little bit in the aughts, but mostly in the 2010s. Uh, it's meant to be a fairly uh, with like limited um, sets, little, very little in what you'd call jump scares. Maybe built more to like gate a series of anxiety based on how the film quality isn't quite what you'd call HD. It's
Mhm.
meant to mimic 80s 80s and early 90s levels of technology in its filmography.
So, like, found footage, films would kind of be
Uh I mean, it
on the
depends on the
level, but
film.
not quite on the level.
It's yeah,
Yeah,
this film is like a child of found footage. This genre, I mean.
fair enough.
Yeah, it's like one of found footage's kids. Um it uses a bunch of found footage, not necessarily in its entirety. This is
Mhm.
99% like more found footage, but some of this genre often uses like reused clips from old media, such as in this one where they reuse. I'm pretty sure this is reusing a clip from a random city council meeting for a bulk of it, which is actually pretty neat. Um, it uses a bunch of audio recordings.
Yeah, I couldn't tell
This, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I couldn't tell whether or not the town council meetings were, dubbed or not, like, whether or not they were voiced over or if they were lip synced, 'cause, I could see their mouth moving, but
Well, I don't. Yeah, no, I don't think it's dubbed. It is definitely dubbed. It is definitely dubbed. I should say.
mhm.
Yeah. The mayor, like like the guy who I know a bunch of the voice actors from this because I've like watched a lot of their videos, but like the guy who plays the mayor does not look like the guy you see on screen. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
The two. Yeah, there's two like scientists we see at the very beginning who are like the actual actors, like in that very beginning scene where we see some doctors with some blood splatters on them trying to talk. Those are like the actual people, but everything else is dubbed.
So, really, you could do something like this for under I don't even know, like, we get a group of people together and
Oh
literally
yeah,
hash it out in, like, 2 hours, basically throw something up on the internet for
yeah,
very under
and that's
budget.
pretty much what's happened here, honestly. Like this was a
Yeah,
film made on like a movie review, like a comic book reviewer's salary, and like the people in the movie are all like his friends, and like you might recognize like some of these guys, like Little Karibo from Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged is in it. Two of the guys from Team Four Star are in it. Allison
oh, that
Pregler's in it.
kinda makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, no, lots of yeah. And yeah, Lewis is friends with all those guys, or these are people like he's friends with, or who he's worked with over the years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know this film because this I follow Atop the Fourth Wall quite a bit, and this was something Lewis released as his secret project,
Hmm.
and yeah, it was pretty neat. So this is, yeah, super low budget, and basically made it on his own. He's even in the movie. He plays one of the deputies, who's like in one of the audio only sections.
Like the main deputy. No, I'm thinking
Yeah,
of the PI.
the one in the final council room scene is him.
Okay.
But yeah, yeah, primary, like, I don't know who you'd quite call the star of this movie. I'm I'm kind of gonna give it to probably Mark Swint, who's from Anime Abandon. And yeah, he's known for Anime Abandon. He was in Street Fighter 5, and he was in something called The Dragon Phoenix Chronicles Indomitable. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, not a clue.
Yeah. He does a lot of he does a bit of voice acting. He was apparently in Pokemon. Yeah, I'd say he's adjacent to like the star of this. He's in it close to the
That would
most.
be one of the scientists.
No, he's the private investigator.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Dragon Phoenix Chronicles is some 2013 fantasy action movie. It looks pretty low budget.
Yeah, it doesn't sound great. I'll tell you that much.
I don't know. That'd be okay. But yeah, he's in a bunch of stuff. A few different animes and stuff. He's in one of the Mobile Suit Gundams. But yeah, yeah, he's close. Prominent Neko Kaiser Neko from Team Four Star. He plays one of the main scientists, Dr. Chandra, and Lehman Kessler plays the mayor. He's probably one of the other closest to big ones.
The voice of the mayor.
I'm trying to figure out just his channels or whatever he does mainly. He he does a web series called Ask Lovecraft. Just sort of a fun thing, I guess. But yeah, no, lots of guys. Like if you watch a lot of the same video reviews I do, you'll recognize a few of these names. Uh, I SF Debris plays one of the city councilors. He's like the other city councilor voice in the council scenes. He does like Star Trek reviews and other sci-fi reviews. Really funny guy if you want to check him out. But yeah, yeah, and I guess Alison Pregler plays Darcy Milbanks, who's a pretty prominent character. So yeah, this was a pretty basic movie. It's free on YouTube if you want to watch it. If we want to do it before we get into too much of the spoilers, I would recommend it. It's only like an hour long, and it is free on YouTube. It's pretty nice. But to start the plot of the movie, I don't know too much of like the background and too much more of the background of this. I don't know if there's a director's commentary out there or anything.
I mean, probably.
Probably is. Maybe it's on the DVD. I think he's got this on DVD now, or he's getting it on DVD. Either way, it's also like for the record, it is his second feature film. The first one being atop the fourth wall of the movie. Yeah, no. His I know this is the one guy probably I know his quirks the best out of any director I've covered, which is kind of sad. Yeah, I will say I'm pretty qualified to do this review. So the movie opens with one of those end of broadcast day stingers. For those of you who don't know, because this isn't a big thing anymore, a bunch of local TV stations would only play television for like a certain amount of the day. Usually they'd cut off a little after midnight or whatever, and they do a like usually like a thing with like the national anthem. They had these in Canada too, so it's something but I remember a few places having them. But they do like the national anthem and do a bunch of different video clips of like historical scenes and whatnot. historical things, and it's just like a this is the end of broadcast day. Here we're playing some music, so it doesn't seem like we're just cutting stuff off. I don't know why they do it too much, but yeah. Um, because one of the main mediums of footage we get for this film is from the local TV station, uh, uh, 83 FC or Channel 83 FC, which is a radio station for a place called Fawn Circle, Minnesota. Which is sort of a given context clues is a sort of an isolated location in Minnesota.
Was this a real place or
I
was it
don't think so.
fictional?
I don't think so. I'll
Okay,
hit
fair
the
enough.
I'll put it into the Google real quick, see it, make sure. But I forget where they. It's not filmed in a place called Fawn Circle. I can tell you that much, because in the acknowledgments they get a thank you for things. Uh, no, it doesn't appear to be.
Okay,
Yeah, no, it doesn't seem to be. Like it seems there's like a insurance company called Fawn Circle, but it's yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it
I'm
doesn't
just
seem
saying this could have been like a high school like horror project
yeah.
where like for your like film communications community college class you need to like write and direct a horror film. This could definitely have been it.
Yeah. Um yeah, I'm not I think Lewis is older than me, but I'm not sure. I could be
Okay,
wrong.
fair enough.
So, yeah, yeah, this is a yeah, it's a FC 80 channel 83 FC is like a local television station where they show just local news, a bunch of local productions, a lot of syndicated programming. And as we'll find out later in the film, it's sort of like in the dumps. It's not doing too well. And as we're getting these clips, occasionally we'll see like a bit of blood splattered on there, but it's very quick in this part of the movie. You'll see like a picture of blood in the snow. You do see a half buried. When I found the still of the scene, it appears to be like a head that is like had a bunch of the flesh stripped off it, and you see it very briefly, where you're not even like, "What was that? That seemed like something gory." But yeah, you don't notice it initially, but
Hmm.
it looks like a face when I saw the still. Um, we get a little bit more
I'm
information.
assuming this guy's from Minnesota. So I'm assuming this guy's from Minnesota.
Yeah, yeah, he is. Yeah, yep. Yeah, the stuff that's filmed that the stuff he does film is in his home state of Minnesota. So we get a little bit of information on this place called Scott's Manor, or we see a recording saying that like this transmission's like apparently hijacked channel 83 and has you get a clip from a couple scientists, and one of them is, and they're just saying that like, hey, we need to, stuff's happening. It's going to freeze us to death, and eventually that's cut off. After this, we're greeted to a recording of a meeting between two Channel 83 reporters and a sheriff's deputy, the sheriff, not a sheriff's deputy, the sheriff. And they give us the background on this place that they're going to check out called Scott's Manor. We'll find out later in the movie the reason they're going out here is because they've been having these hijackings of the television station, and based on the clip we just saw, they're guessing that means that the hijacking is coming from Scott's Manor. And also the University of Minnesota has been doing some experiments there. But they give us some background on Scott's Manor.
Does the science check
The
out on this?
science? I don't know.
Yeah, can you actually hijack a television
Oh,
uh television signal via like a higher frequency television? Like,
okay. Yeah, sort of. For this sort of thing. Um,
okay.
yeah, for like cable TV, it's just like the radio. It's a lot more like radio in those days, where like if
Mhm.
you get into a place where like you have two very weak radios, radio station, if you're between like two radio stations, based on like how the weather's going or whatever, one station will come in over the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do it. It's especially something that's going to be like typically how you avoid this is by having a really powerful transmitter, which is the problem they point out in this
Yeah,
movie is
fair enough.
they don't have a very good transmitter.
So it's like a analog television essentially,
Yeah.
or a 10 um televisions. Like stuff that I grew up with, but
Yeah, a little bit like
not quite the
this takes
same.
place about 10 years before we're born. So this cause is even worse
83,
than
yeah.
that. Yeah.
11 years.
Oh yeah, 10, 11. The movie takes place the time frame of this movie takes place between about Christmas of 82 and just after New Year and real early New Year's of 83. So Scott's Manor was the old mayor's mansion, which they stopped being able to use because they made some rules about oh, you have to live in the town in order to be mayor. So they had to stop using the mayor's mansion. And event and they kept saying like, oh, it got abandoned for a while, and people just saying, oh, we're gonna renovate it, and it never really happened. And then till just now, where like the U of M apparently has agreed to renovate it so they can use it for some research space. It's also pointed out in this conversation that like the Channel 83 is in like the dumps. It's doing really bad financially. They don't have the money to like enhance their transmitter. Um the FC in the name probably stands for Fawn Creek because this is really only the only community that this place this station serves. So it's a bit of a issue. So because of because of this problem, they are doing quite poorly. It's also stated that maybe the FCC is going to do some like reclaiming of these high frequency stations so that they can use them for emergency services. I don't know the history behind that. But that might be true because also just local media is getting generally weaker in the 80s. It's not going to be the only game in town for very much longer. Like I mean, you grew up in the same time frame. You know how fast this like we went from like cable TV to satellite TV to internet. So yeah, that's stuff's happening pretty fast in this period of time. They arrive at Scott's Manor and find that like the snow has like made its way into the manor. It's broken down all the windows and doors so that the snow has covered the entire first floor, and we get some really haunting shots of the manor, which is apparently a which must just be like a real abandoned mansion he found somewhere. It's pretty creaky looking, very decrepit. And eventually we get some camera footage from the sheriff, and he opens up a door into the lower levels of the house and finds that it is filled with snow. Our next clip is a clip from the town council meeting. City council. I'm not sure if it's specified. Probably city council. It's probably I think it's given that it has its own TV station. This is probably big. This is probably a city, at least by Minnesota standards.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So the meeting's mostly about how there's going to be a blizzard coming. There and it's brought up that like oh yeah, we're going to buy some new snow plows because our snow plows are getting sort of rough looking. So yeah, we're going to get some new snow plows. So we agreed to that. We're going to budget that in. Those snow plows will not do any good. I can tell you that much right now. Next meeting on and thing on the agenda is a guy from Channel 83 trying to talk the town council into giving the TV station a stimulus check so that they can upgrade their equipment. And he requests for this a stimulus of $75,000 over 3 months, which, given the reaction of the town, is pretty out of the question. Yeah, and the mayor not only goes into that, he's just
I said, I guess there's just not enough money in the arts for this small town. But $75,000 is a lot of money.
yeah, I think this is a very like given how they've described this is a very niche situation. Like they're like it seems like they're just on the ass end of Minnesota and that like they have this because there's no one else within a little bit. And as we're moving into the 1980s and as TV signals get better and better, they don't so much need this anymore. And the mayor goes on and just like kind of slams the TV station a bit. He's just like, "Oh yeah, this show, yeah, no, the programming you do kind of sucks. It's not very good. A lot of it's syndication stuff we could get on other TV stations, and also people have been, as we discussed earlier, people have been hijacking the television frequency, and eventually the mayor relents a little bit and is just like, "Hey, tell you what, if you can get me a smaller number, I'll consider it. But $75,000 is off out of the question." Yeah, and 75. What is? I should 75. Yeah, inflation. I should just check out inflation calculator. See what that is in today money. That's about $230,000 in today's money, U.S. dollars.
Yeah, that's fucking way off.
Even
Gross.
let's just go pre-pandemic just for the fun of that. Oh, pre-pandemic, it's just under $200,000 in 2019. Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, you could solidly like do a good road project for that or something.
Well, buy 2 plows with that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that definitely pays for the plows easy. I mean, worst case scenario, get a couple tractors, but still. Yeah. So, the meeting is cut short because the sheriff has a message for the mayor. So yeah, that's a thing. It's also, I think, pointed out some point that soon that there's going to be a big blizzard, and it is going to fill out. It says 20 inches of snow, which is about half a meter in real measurement. So yeah, it's going to be a big one, and I think they end up getting more snow than that. But yeah, this meeting is implied to be before the uh, large events of the film. So that's a little bit of a build up because we will get a scene later, which is the meeting from the week after of this one, which is takes place during the events of the like story. We next get a scene with a lady getting some B-roll footage for something or other where she's like doing some filming of the area and she's like saying talking over the footage because it's gonna get like muted anyway, and she's just saying like talking to her boyfriend Alan, and she's just like, oh yeah, I will marry you, Alan, I like it here in Minnesota even though you don't, and they're talking a bit. And then she finds a area which is cordoned off, which is weird. And also that there's footsteps in it that weren't there before. And eventually the winds start picking up, and she gets hit, like knocked over, and then they play some audio from her, and then she walks for a little longer, and then her audio, she gets a lot of talking about how she's feeling very cold and the wind's picking up, and then you get a scene where she just repeats some phrases about she's gotten cold and how cold she is, and she just starts repeating things, and we see her gripping a chain link fence with a bloody arm. In this scene, we also see a snowman, which is a little bit different, but it does weirdly make sense, as we'll explain later. So yeah, it's still mysterious what's happening here. I should also mention that the it's stated earlier in the movie at the beginning that a lot of the footage we see is like has been corrupted, and more of it still has been just like completely destroyed by some scientific anomaly. And that's why the video we get is so low quality, other than it being in the 1980s. And we also see that like the television station audio we see, because they're like broadcasting the council meetings, and the video quality is very bad. So yeah, there's some worries there. Next, we get a clip from a private investigator and a lady named Darcy. We had seen them. We had heard from them briefly at the end of the council meeting, because Darcy is the camera woman at the council meetings, and our private investigator Carl sneaks by her at the end of that scene and says, "Hey, I got some information. I want to talk to you." So the scene we get is actually a bit. They explained that it's a pre-recording or a re-recording. Sorry, because the previous version of his interview with her, which he recorded so that he could draw back on it later, was corrupted for whatever reason. So Darcy explains that her brother Stephen is a working as doing renovations at Scott's Manor, and one night he never came home. So yeah, and it's really weird. It's also they explain some other things that say like, yeah, it seems pretty unlikely he just fuck off. And we also haven't heard anything from his girlfriend, who is not mentioned at all during the rest of this movie. But yeah, he's just gone off the grid. No one knows what happened to him. His boss, Carl, points out that he got a statement from his bosses that said he left. And part of the reason why he's having this second meeting with Darcy is because he found Steven's car abandoned in the middle of the snow, no one in it. And the plates were missing, weirdly enough. So yeah, he went to report this, and the weirder thing still, he went to report this to the police station, and there was no one there, which is a bit of a problem. Carl says he's going to try the mansion again. Our next scene, well, we get a commercial for this place called Sid's Electronics, and but after that, we get a scene with a man walking towards Sid's Electronics and videotaping that he closed the door, presumably because someone had forgotten to close the doors earlier. So yeah, and as he's locking up the store and as this employee's closing up the store and complaining about how he has to do this, he hears someone say behind him, "Hey, can you come over here and help me with this? Can you come over here and help me with this?" But he doesn't see who says it. So he looks around, figures he can't see them because of the blizzard. The guy repeats it, and he's wandering through for a little bit. And then we see a black snowman, which is pretty freaky. This employee gets knocked over the head, and we don't see him again. And the voice that was saying things repeats, "Thanks for the help, bud." Yeah, it's sort of like Predator with a sense of humor, whatever this thing is.
The Canadian Predator.
Well, Minnesotan.
Well, yes, but I think there's a very big link between the two. Like
Yeah, no.
Minnesotans almost have the Canadian accent.
Oh yeah, no. There's some crossover there. Yeah, the
Yeah.
stereotypical Minnesotan accent is sort of similar to the Hoser accent when you think about it.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, that's a thing. So, Carl goes to the mansion and we find our missing police officers who are all at the mansion. And then he finds some bloody clothes and some revolvers that have had all their shots fired off. And then he finds human remains. So, yeah, clearly the cops came to Scott's Manor and got all killed to the last man. Carl makes his way to the basement, which he notes is in better shape, but is still like covered in snow. While he's down there, he manages to recover a bunch of tapes and video cameras, and also finds a man down there who is trapped under the snow. He digs him out. Carl digs him out and finds that the man's legs have been frozen off. And as he's getting help, some voice off screen. Well, I guess it's all off screen because this is just an audio recording. Uh, you hear a voice from in the distance say, "Hey, but hey, can I get some help? Can you give me some help with this?" And then Carl's just like, "No, you come over here and give me some help with that." And then they go back and forth for a minute, and the scientist on the ground is just like, "Oh, dude, you gotta get out of here, man. You gotta go warn people." And he sees the body of Steven. Carl punches the body and runs off, and then manages to eventually hightail his way back to his office. So yeah, scary things are happening. So we find out that whatever's doing this is possessing dead bodies. Yay! Council meeting number 2 happens. They say this is going to be a short meeting, so they're striking a bunch of like non-essential stuff. They also point out that they haven't heard from the police in a while, which is a little annoying. I mean, you wouldn't guess the first thing that is that oh, I can't get a hold of anyone at the police station. They must all be dead. That's my first guess. Oh god, now I want to watch like Salt and Precinct 13.
Yeah, it's my whole thing is like if your whole entire police force is like mysteriously gone missing, you'd think that you'd like I don't know, try and fucking do something about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure the time frame here.
Like I'm not saying like hire more people, but like, send some people out to like look for him or like track
Yeah.
their cars or
Yeah, it's odd.
I guess it's 83, so they might not have that technology yet, but
Hmm. There might be some car phones, but still. So yeah, they point out that like, oh yeah, there's going to be like 20 inches of snow. We're going to be getting some backup like snow plows from the big cities to come help us clear this place out. One of the Channel 83 ladies is there. Not the same person from the last one. She explains that there's been they've been like taking a closer look at some of the hijackings, and apparently not only are they being hijacked, it's also erasing and replacing the tapes of video that they were originally actually going to show, which yeah, there's
mhm.
something different going on here. Yeah, so there's some big yeah, so this isn't just a hijacking, something really weird's going on. And they're almost just like, okay, that's really weird. I don't know what the deal is. You must be mistaken. There's something weird. Yeah, you're doing something wrong, lady, clearly. And then after that, the power goes out. Next scene, Carl is back at his office. He has been trying to contact Darcy to tell her that Steven is dead. So that's a thing. And next we get to play some of the tapes from the scientists down in the labs. Primarily, we get one from this guy, Dr. Chandra, who has been missing for 4 years, apparently.
I thought I understood the timeline, and now the timeline's a little fuckedy.
Yeah, I don't know how that fits in, honestly. But yeah, Dr. Chandra explains that he is from something called Project Freezing Rain, and there is an intelligent bacteria he is studying. And it is steadily learning how to communicate. He is steadily learning how to communicate with it, and he's even hooked it up to a voice to speech thing so they can talk to him. Then we get some commercials for Medicine Lake. For Medicine Lake, it's a place where people can do like vacation stuff in the middle of winter. They do cabins, they do ice fishing, they do hunting lodges, and as the video will start to point out, there's a lot of blood on the blood everywhere. They show a image of a body of a skeleton buried in the snow with a bunch of blood around it, and they eventually show a collapsed cab when they're showing off the different cabins. When they show like, oh, the basic, the master, or and then they show one that's just like the embraced, which is just a collapsed cabin. Uh, and then they show a picture of Scott's Manor that says our old home. And then they show one that says they show the body and it's just like says our new home. Meanwhile, through all this, they're showing a much the text on the screen often says stuff like "You will become like us," uh, and there's a clip that says at the end of the video, at the end of the commercial, it says "White will become red." The red will become white. You will become like us. And yeah, then we get our third council meeting where they've been snowed in. They're recording audio only so that people know what's going on in there. They've got generator rooming, so they have some power. Everyone's cars are buried because there's just that much snow. The television station is sending a snowplow, but it's going to be a while. They put out blankets and everything so everyone stays warm. In the meantime, Deputy Blair, played by our director, shows up and says, "Yeah, he sneaks in through the top through like an upper floor window, and he fills them in, and he's just like, oh yeah." He just yelling at the mayor, and he's like, "You sent us there, and now we're all dead, and now they're all dead. Everyone's dead." And they need to chased us here, so we need to lock up before. And then the Steven zombie thing shows up, and Darcy tries to like go up to it and talk to it, and it's just like, oh, Steven, thank God you're alive. And then Deputy Blair's just like, that's not Steven, he's definitely dead. And then the Steven body says, "Can I get some help with this?" And then presumably everyone inside this room dies. We get our next clip, which is shows Carl the next day. He had also there's a bunch of tornado sirens going on, but he's had to move into a different office in his office building because his office got collapsed in on. So he takes that and he plays some more audio tapes. We get an audio tape where Dr. Chandra had to explain to the alien life form or whatever about like the Christmas holiday and why no one was there. It's revealed that the alien can manipulate UV radiation and like do that to manipulate stuff on videotapes and wireless signals and stuff like that. and can also like manipulate those signals in order to portray whatever images they want. It's noticed that they have some range. It seems to be like interfering with the TV in the break room, even. And we get the original "Can you help me over here" clip, which appears to be from a Dr. Matthews. And they manages to on December 30th, they find out that this thing that the alien can generate snow, and it's trying to leave. And the alien asks Dr. Chandra, "What is God?" And then he's going to talk, and then Dr. Chandra goes to talk to a character called Dr. Simmons, who is played by Lil Karibo, and he's just like, dude, Simmons, listen to me. When I explained to it what God was, the alien was just like, oh, like me, which is just a hilarious answer, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think if you're gonna get into an argument with aliens, you should be bringing up, like, religion. Seems a little, uh, Christian-centric at that point in time, like
Like, I think that's just a weird conversation on our level because he's just like, oh yeah, when you're like, oh yeah, what's a god? And he's like, oh well, God's just something that's like everywhere all at once and can like has like perfect knowledge of everything around it. And he's like, oh, I can do that. Can you not do that? Weird. Yeah, no, I can. It's just yeah, just like,
yeah, that
oh
too.
yeah, no, I can do that. Yeah. Yeah. No, God's some. Yeah. Yeah.
Your omniscience
Omnipresence. He's
omniscience?
like, oh well, God can also create things from nothing. Yeah, I can do that. I can create like snow from nothing. That's the thing in my repertoire. Oh, cool. Where's this guy? I have a lot in common with him. I should talk to him. And then it has some more. It asks about having some more questions about just like, oh yeah, I want to know more about your thoughts and your soul and your blood and scary stuff like that. And then Chandra just reports that like, oh yeah, it did it manipulated like the snow so it mimicked my face. Uh it wants to be like us. And then the alien pops in and it's just like, no, you will be like us. And then it breaks containment. Carl then we get a audio clip from Carl. He Sean Darcy comes over to meet up with him, and he's just like, "Oh, Darcy, we need to get out of here. There's a lot of very bad." "Oh, you're not Darcy. You are a snow monster." And so he shoots the snow monster and runs off into the middle of the city to go run for his life. So yeah, we get a video. We get a one last emergency warning thing where like where it's explaining where like you're getting the emergency winter conditions television program, stay inside, stay warm, don't wander out in the snow. And then the alien or whatever interacts with the radio frequency and it's just like, no, come out in the snow, the blizzard welcomes you, be like us, come out in the snow. So we get our final like shot of the movie where Carl's running through the center of the street with the channel 83 camera running in his hand, and eventually he comes across a snowman with his face on it. The snowman opens its mouth and attacks and kills Carl. The final screen of the show shows us a little bit of an explanation about like, oh yeah, yeah, some people survived, but none of the people from the tapes we just saw. And eventually the snow melted and yeah, U of M denied any involvement. And eventually there's an after credit sequence where the alien manipulates some more television, which apparently means it survived. Which is something that which when the Dr. Simmons has just joked when Chandra said the thing was going to try to get out of here. It's like, oh yeah, that'll do a lot of good when the snow melts. Which, yeah, Simmons, it will be a big deal when the snow melts. But yeah, when the snow melts is the central problem here. It's January. You got you got like another 2 months of winter at least.
Yeah.
More like 3. Oh, who are we kidding? It's 4. And you know what? It's the 80s. Global warming. Global warming really hasn't taken its full swing yet. So yeah, you can go into June sometimes. It's out there. It's possible. It's happened.
for for winter.
Yeah. Anyway, winter's dumb.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's sort of the movie.
Hmm.
Yeah, a movie about evil snow. Just kind of great. I kind of like it.
I think, ironically enough, this is our second um, movie about evil snow that we've kind of touched upon. Our last one being The
Oh,
Snowman,
right. I mean,
a
that was
couple
a
of year
guy. That wasn't
last year, I think.
no. I mean, that was just a guy. He didn't have like snow powers.
Yeah, I know,
He
but
made snowmen. The snow itself was not evil.
yeah, yeah, but this one's made snowmen too.
Yeah, it's I do have this weird thing where like, oh, I think that like the evil snow thinks that like if they get rid of our blood, it'll make us smarter, which is just crazy alien thinking. And I kind of love it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said here, because like in theory, these things control water at this point in time, would they not?
Um I mean, we don't see them control water. We see them control snow, which might be a limit to their power. It is also like it is also
Yeah.
possible that they're like like I get the impression they're manipulating the blizzard because they're making it
Hmm.
bad.
But
And
like
like, don't get me wrong.
the even the in name of the like scientific whatchamacallit is Operation Freezing Rain.
Yeah.
So in theory, uh sleet, like it doesn't necessarily even have to be
Hmm.
a water or snow is what I'm trying to get at, but like maybe I'm just like digging way too deep into this.
No, and like I think there's also like okay, sometimes you just get to a half meter of snow. That's just a thing that happens sometimes.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's not out of the question that the snow monster just got lucky.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, it's actually quite a powerful monster. It actually gets when you get down to it. It has a lot of really powerful abilities.
Mhm.
But yeah, it seems to be like
But
yeah. Go
it's
ahead.
still, yeah, I was gonna say it's still super self-contained if it relies heavily on the snow in itself. Like there is the argument that yes,
It also said some people. I also like understand that it
like
might rely on the UV from the radio from the TV station. Like that might also be a thing it's
yeah,
feeding. Like it is stated in the film that it feeds off UV signals. So
uh-huh,
yeah, it might be like it might have needed to eat some of that in addition to having the snow. So its range is like dictated by the power of the television station, which is why people were able to come in and rescue people. Actually, is because the TV station goes down.
yeah,
Which, yeah, if this were a more generic movie, they would have figured that out and they would have had to like blow up the TV station. But I think this is a bit more of the fun horror option.
hmm,
I will state that like this does demonstrate some of like Lewis's weakness as a writer, where where a lot of it's just like I call it like script dialogue, where like you can tell it's something someone's written as a script, and no one's like really made it sound like something someone would actually say. He does a bit of that, which is a flaw in a few of his
yeah,
like scripted works. But
fair
yeah,
enough.
he's always got really good vibes, though. I'll give him that. You can
I still don't necessarily know what that means.
yeah. It's kind of funny, like his. If you watched a bunch of like these Channel Awesome era like reviews. A lot of people had like storylines where like they do skits where like the reviewers had like superpowers and whatnot. And Lewis is kind of like the I don't want to say the worst for it because that would imply have some level of like I don't like it, but I kind of do like his storylines throughout his reviews because he'll do like side stories throughout the years where like he has to fight super villains after he reviews a comic book. It's a little goofy. But it's also like come to the wayside a bit. I think pandemic did a number to it and whatnot. So he doesn't do them nearly as much anymore, but he does do pretty cool storyline segments in his reviews, which you can find on his YouTube channel. But he does, yeah, he does have a talent for like creating a very clever plot. It's just that sometimes a lot of his dialogue is just like too talky or too scripted, and it doesn't feel as natural as it maybe should.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. Is one of the thought process I had the other day. I was we're doing Christmas because we're doing Christmas early this last year for uh like our family Christmas because a lot of the in-laws like the main family is doing a lot of stuff with the in-laws, so we did our Christmas early.
Ah,
But my nephew was watching Chicken Run, and there was a comment in a newspaper that was recapping the first Chicken Run, and they mentioned foul play in the headline of this. And I'm like, is that a pun that would only work within this movie context? Or is the movie so self aware that it's making the pun and the characters in the movie know what the pun's about? Or is it just simply a reader thing?
yeah, I don't know. So I don't know. What you have thoughts before we do scores or?
I think this like movie speaks to me on kind of like a primal level
Hmm,
for first of all being Canadian.
well,
Um
yeah,
I think everybody in Canada fears like a massive blizzard that like snows you in. Um Growing up near or on a farm, being like stuck out of town while a blizzard goes on is like a very real visceral fear where you're
yeah.
like the
Blizzards are
power
freaky.
goes out and we could die out here because like
Oh yeah.
like I think last year we had a minus 50 weather where like you would go outside for I guess minus 50 with wind chill, but it's super bad.
Oh
Like
yeah.
you go outside for 10 minutes, like you're risking frostbite or you're risking pneumonia. There's also like another focus that I like to talk about is like Canadians needing to help out their neighbors and stuff like that. Like you see somebody outside in the cold and they ask for help and you're running essentially like you're normally pushing somebody out of the snow or you're uh like pushing a vehicle out of the snow for them or giving them a hand with that. So somebody asking you to help them in the middle of a blizzard, I'm also very scared about that, especially if they were to then proceed to murder me. So this kind of speaks on that level.
No, I mean, for those of you who, like don't experience blizzards are freaky. Like blizzards are just like,
Yeah, whiteout blizzard.
oh yeah, no, it's like the coldest it is the coldest temperature you will ever experience in your life. And also just like a lot of like whiteout precipitation that's like blanking it so you can't see very far. And it's like also just like this like blistering wind that like knocks shit over. And
Mhm.
yeah, it can get nasty. And it's like there's a reason like in a lot of places like you cannot turn off people's gas or electricity during certain times of the year because like we've recognized that, like, no, you turn this person's power off, and like, if you turn people's power off, they will die. Like that is a like that
Yep.
is a thing that you cannot happen. Like, there's lots of places where, like, no, you cannot turn off people's power or gas during the middle of during like 5 months of the year. It doesn't matter how much money you owe them; they cannot, like, turn do that. Like, it's really,
It's illegal, it's inhumane. I think
yeah.
I think every Canadian out there, you walk up to them and ask them, like, "When was the last time you were in a blizzard?" And they will tell you a story of
Yeah.
of them being in a blizzard.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I mean, we've done it on the show before, even. Like, I was
especially
at,
when I was out
yeah.
what?
Yeah, I've done, I mean, we've talked about it on the show before. Because, like, we've had episodes where just like, yeah, no, like,
Yeah,
you've had ones where, like, you've been like, oh yeah, no, I've been snowed in for a few days. I had one where, like,
mhm,
my power was out for 4 days. Like, like, these are just things that have happened since we've been doing the
yeah,
show.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's, yeah,
When I was out on the farm,
yeah,
I think we've probably even postponed a
yeah,
couple of like,
oh yeah.
episodes because, like, the weather was so bad or the, internet was, spotty because we were both on farm internet at that point in time, so
Yeah, no, it can take things. Yeah, it can take power out and
so,
whatnot. Um, yeah,
like,
it's,
legitimately be like, you could get so turned around, like, within a whiteout blizzard that, like, what was The Painted Door
oh yeah.
is a famous Canadian, play where somebody dies because they get stuck out in a blizzard and they can't find their way back home, and they die on their front doorstep because they couldn't or somebody didn't let them in
Oh
because
no,
of the wind.
what happened to that movie was that they found the guy made his way back home, touched his hand to, like, the wet painted door, and then, like, they found his handprint on the uh like, that's why it's called that. They found his hand wet yellow handprint on like one of the fences, and he turned around from his house because he saw Oscar from Corner Gas banging his wife. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the plot of that. They did a short film, and Oscar from Corner Gas played the guy who banged the guy who's died wife.
Yeah,
Eric Stevenson, great actor. He did one of the great Canadian plays, Billy Bishop Goes to War. Great play. Also saw it in the round. I've seen it twice, I think.
fair enough.
Yeah, I've seen it. I saw it at the local theater here in Estevan, and I saw it in the round at the Globe in Regina.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good. The Huns, we will shoot him with a gun. Anyway, moving on. What do you give the movie, Cody?
I would rank it probably, uh, I can't even remember what I gave, the last found horror film because we did, Day
Oh,
of the
yeah,
Dead last, or Diary
Diary.
of the
Yeah.
Dead last. Um, but this was way better.
Oh
Like,
yeah, no, I liked it.
premise
Yeah,
was, like, so much cooler,
yeah.
way more than Diary of the Dead.
Oh
It actually works as a found footage film.
yeah.
Um, I messaged Kyle at the beginning of it asking him if there's a persistent, like, background buzz in the film, and he's like, "No, that's definitely a part of the film." So, it was a little annoying, but it also, like, actually added to the film. It didn't, like, subtract or take anything away from it. So I like that. Yeah, I'd probably rate it 8 or 9.
I'm at an 8. I'm glad you liked it. I was a
Yeah,
little
fair
worried
enough.
because I was like, oh, I don't know if Cody's gonna like this one.
Um,
Yeah.
once I got over the fact that it wasn't, like, it was meant to look like the way it was supposed to, or once it was meant to play the way that it was supposed to, it became a little bit more tolerable. Because, like, I figured out that it actually add to the film, like, the idea around the film rather than, like, the other found footage films that I've watched were kind of always bad. So, like, shaky cam and, I think having it primarily set in a, early 1980s, TV studio kind of changes the way that I would think of the film
Yeah.
while watching it. So there's always that kind of like backdrop in my mind of like early television. Once again, I think I've mentioned on the floor on the podcast before that I grew up on like 3-channel cable, so I definitely related to it a little bit more.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, it does pretty well. If you ever thought it was like, I know I did watch another guy's review of it, and he was just like, yeah, no, it was skeptical, but I'm glad I ended up going back to it. And it's like the weakest part of the movie of this is actually where they have actual actors. Sadly enough, I don't mean to insult them, and those actors do good jobs in the rest of the movie, to be fair. But the one from the guy from the beginning is the same guy who like loses his legs later in the movie. But yeah, no, it sure is something. But yeah, I think that's
And
it.
I'm assuming we'll link everything.
Yeah, I could just put this in the description. Yeah, sure. Yeah, because it's just on YouTube. It's free to watch. If you go to like probably atopthefourthwall.com, you can find like the DVD sales if he's gotten those up finally. But yeah, no, he's a yeah good. It's good. It's good. It's good stuff. But yeah, that's the end of the movie, or that's the end of the review. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I don't know what's coming up next. We'll see. But yeah, oh, maybe we'll. Oh wait, no, I can't. I was gonna say, oh, maybe we'll have to do something for Gladiator 2, but then I remembered that my theater flooded, so I can't see Gladiator 2.
Oh,
Oh
when
no.
did this happen?
Oh, just a couple weeks ago. Late September.
You could pretty much go any other.
Yeah, I'd have to like go to another. I'd have to go to the city.
I
Yeah.
mean, I can look for it.
I don't know.
I'm assuming there's an internet copy out there.
I'm not that invested. I don't. I don't actually. I don't
I
actually
don't
want to
think
see a.
anybody was.
No, no. I mean, no. People like it because I got shit for saying that movie was mid,
Yeah, but like, is
or
it
the original was mid.
warranting of a sequel? Like, isn't the movie like supposed to be completely entirely standalone? Like, the main
Yeah, it
character
is.
dies at the end of it.
Yeah, and
Okay,
like none of the characters return.
yeah,
Like this one has like Pedro Pascal, another guy, and like Denzel Washington, which I'm sure would all do good
I
jobs,
think
but Ridley Scott sucks, so we're not gonna.
yeah.
Yeah,
Try not to like rehash this argument.
yeah. No, my theater flooded.
Your
Yeah,
Gladiator review.
yeah. My Gladiator. It's
I
fine.
guess I shouldn't say my argument because I don't think I watched this with you.
No, I watched it with Marine. No, I mean, it's a 5 out of 10. It's fine. I just didn't think it was amazing.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, see ya later. I don't know what we're doing in the next episode. Bye.